Hi, welcome to the Holding Hands and Throwing Fists podcast. I got the mic.
And I have the opinions?
What's up?
That was strange.
Why? Why was this strange? Tell me.
You just came home, you jumped right into this, and now you said the intro weird.
I'm coming in hot.
It seems like you're coming in low.
No way. What are you talking about? I'm ready. It's season 8, episode 11. It's time to rock and roll. I got a lot of shit I got to say.
Okay, then.
We want to start off the episode with some exciting news. We have our first product live on holdinghandsandthrowingfists.com. That's right, everybody. It's a t-shirt with the logo on the left chest and the logo blown up on the back. The fabric material is a polyester spandex blend that's great for working out, going for a run, Andreas, or sitting your ass on the couch. Slick. And Raymond, for that matter.
I was thinking Billy Alexander.
Yeah, well, actually, when I wrote that, I was thinking of Billy Alexander. Right now, we only have a blue that's called Ink Navy, but there's plenty of more coming down the pipeline. The shirts are $30, but since it's the holidays and we want to extend the gift to our friends and listeners, please use the coupon code BOOBOO for $10 off. That's right. Holdinghandsandthrowingfists.com. Use coupon code BOOBOO, BOOBOO, for $10 off. It's a steal. And remember to choose either standard shipping or pick up in person during the checkout so we can see your beautiful faces. I have to say, I've worn quite a bit of product that I've designed and developed, but rocking the Holding Hands and Throwing Fists crest just makes you feel extra powerful.
Babe, you really got some shit done. You got a storefront up online. You had these fucking super cool shirts made. I am excited, me, to wear my Holding Hands and Throwing Fists t-shirt working out.
Well, when you order, make sure you use coupon code BOOBOO.
Of course I will.
In addition, we also want to shout out the Happy Pill Project store, which also went live last week. There are jiu-jitsu rash guards, t-shirts, and beanies for sale as well over there, and you can find them all on the Happy Pill Project's Instagram. Now, I'm going to be talking a lot on the front half of this.
Honestly, that should have been your story. 2 storefronts.
I know, it only took freaking 3 years. God.
Yeah, but not just storefronts. Let's toot your horn a little bit. You also designed literally everything on both of these websites, had it produced, had meetings about it all, and now people can buy it.
It's pretty exciting, and it's only going to get better. It's only going to get better. We don't want to take our friends and listeners' hard-earned money. But you know, it goes to support to pay, because I think I realized that we have to our annual payment of what we use to host the podcast is coming up soon. So make sure you use coupon code BOOBOO, because we really just put an artificial price up and then put the coupon code because that would just be fun for everyone to type in.
Well, I'm proud of you, babe. Thank you.
Thanks, babe. I appreciate it. On to my story this week. UFC Orlando is one of the best cards of the year.
What?
While we wanted to stray away from covering the week-to-week events, this one was especially exciting and worthy of a shout-out. This was the last free live event of the year, and the crowd in Orlando was loud.
Oh, I wish I was there.
I know, dude. UFC has a rich history of crazy cards in Orlando. In fact, the famous post-fight interview where Nate Diaz called out Conor McGregor by saying he was stealing everything he had worked for, motherfucker, that was at UFC on Fox in December 2015 in Orlando.
Wow. Great throwback.
Some highlights from this past Saturday were Jewish fighter Nathan Levy winning and calling out Kanye West in the post-fight scrum, which was awesome.
Incredible.
Darren the Damage Elkins getting checked by the doctor before the final round for a pretty bad cut that was bleeding, getting approved to continue the fight, and then egging on the crowd while letting the blood drip down his face. It was pretty freaking ridiculous. Our boys and girls, Michael Johnson, Clay Guida, and Angela Hill all won via decision, so good for them that they won. And in a main card in which, babe, 100% of the fights ended via KO, TKO, or submission.
That's when Dana White should have given every winner a bonus.
I don't know if he was there or not, but he probably wasn't because he's probably like,
Someone still gets bonuses. They still decide.
But he's usually there when he's the one to make that multi-million-dollar decision. Well, not multi-million. What is it? $700,000 decision.
Not even a full mil.
Nico Price versus Philip Rowe was one of those classic back and forth matchups where Nico was winning the last round, beating up Philip and almost knocked him out, but then gassed himself out and then got himself TKO'd. We were sad for Nico, but he looked great and it was an exciting fight for everyone, and it was good to see him back after a long layoff from knee surgeries. Roman Dolidze caught Jack Hermanson in one of the most unique pins ever seen in the octagon, which he used the calf slicer, cool term, right, babe?
Totes.
To put Jack face down on the canvas in such a way that there was no escape. DC had a great point by saying that every MMA gym in the country is going to see how that worked this week.
Oof.
Sergey Pavlovich beat Tai Tuivasa in one of those fights where you realize heavyweights throw really, really freaking hard and can end fights in less than a minute if they set their mind to it. Rafael Dos Anjos had a clinic in which he both beat Brian Barberina and gained the distinct honor of being the first fighter to accumulate 8 hours of octagon time. How freaking crazy is that?
My jaw's on the floor.
I don't think I've ever worked a full 8-hour day in my life all the way through the way that he's worked 8 full hours in the octagon. And that's crazy. Out of all the fighters, he's been in he did it. He's been in there the longest. It's crazy.
Like, I would have no point of reference to even try to guess who would be on that list of most octagon time.
Probably the Cowboys. Obviously, Frankie's number 2.
Yes, that we knew.
Some of the Millers, you know.
Right, just people who have been around longer, I suppose, already are up there. But you would think, but not always.
Not always, and it's also who's in main events too, because you got to be in 5-round fights, right?
Wow. Well, way to go, RDA.
And last, but certainly not least, our boy Booty Boy Thompson. And our boys, Booty Boy Thompson and Kevin Holland, had the most exciting fight of the night, and some people say fight of the year candidate. I think we landed on the fact that it's probably top 5, but not fight of the year for real. But it was exciting. I watched it. I made these notes before I actually watched it from front to back, and I watched it the other night in bed while you were sleeping. And it was freaking exciting.
Yeah.
It was a lot of back and forth, and kudos. They said the corner stopped it, which is good and exciting. That's the corner
I told you that.
Yeah, but John Anik said it too in the broadcast. But at least when you actually listen to the mic of what was going on, Kevin said, "Take this shit off me." When he said the glove.
Oh, so he made the decision.
I don't know. Maybe his corner had said something first, like I'm gonna call it or whatever, and then he said take it off me. But the way that he said take it off me, it seemed like it was his decision, or at least that he was okay with it, and he should not hang his head.
Either way, that's what we like to hear. Either the corner or the fighter themselves making the smart decision.
And while you could make the argument that it would be nice to for Kevin Holland to actually have wrestled and try to win the fight, he still definitely did not, it's one of those situations where both kind of did win, even though he lost and he had lost and it sucks, but he came out like awesome.
Wait, that's so true. And did we end last week's episode like discussing how we wanted both of them to win?
Of course.
So we kind of got what we wanted.
There we go.
Wow. Holding hands and throwing fists there's a shift. There's a shift happening.
There's something around the corner, babe. And I'm going to get into it later, but why don't you get your story over with?
Over with? Rude. I put a lot of time into this one. Guys, I put a lot of time into all these stories this season.
Yeah, we need this season to end.
I know. I feel like a little overwhelmed all the time, but it's okay.
Actually, yeah. More on that later.
Since Holding Hands and Throwing Fists likes to keep you all on the pulse of MMA news, we have to address the James Krause gambling story. Literally, it's all MMA podcasts have been mentioning for a month, but we never did. I didn't even really want to discuss it this week, but it is a huge story in MMA and gambling, and we like to provide you with the stories related to fighting, but not necessarily about a fight, so it was calling my name. So, George and I were listening to MMA Hour Monday afternoon, and Ariel Helwani and his crew did a huge breakdown of this story. Like, so major credit goes to GC from that show because he put together a really clear timeline of this story, which is what I use to write my notes, not plagiarize, just
citation.
Guide them.
There you go.
And so thank you, GC. First and foremost, you might remember that we love James Krause. We think he's smart, he's handsome, he's a decent fighter, definitely a better coach, he's a good speaker. Some might say he kind of looks like George. Maybe that's why I think he's so handsome.
He's got great hair, though. Great hair.
I wouldn't say it's great.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it's great. So I have to say we were pretty interested when his name came out in regards to illegal gambling activity. That's right. Illegal gambling activity. So here's how the story goes. Derek Minor, and I just have to say this guy spells it Darrick. Derek?
Yeah.
But it's pronounced Derek. Like, just so many things wrong with this. Anyway, I'm so sorry. This was not in my notes.
That's how it started.
Yeah, exactly. It's illegal to have a fucking stupid name like Derek.
See, that's why people come to this podcast for the real fire content and the fire takes.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll start again. Derek Minor, one of Krause's fighters, fought against Sha Yalin on November 5th. Hours before the fight, the betting lines drastically changed from Yalin being a negative 220 favorite to a negative 420 favorite. This last-minute shift caused suspicions and an investigation into potential leaks / fight fixing, since it turned out Minner went into the fight with a leg injury. So the lines seem like they maybe didn't shift that much from a negative 220 to a negative 420 for his opponent to be the favorite. But the lines also indicated that a lot of people were betting specifically on a round one TKO. Uh-oh. Insert thinking emoji here.
Too obvious.
George and I rewatched the fight, and Minner weirdly throws two back-to-back kicks with what we now know is the injured leg. And when he gets knocked down, even Dom Cruz, one of the commentators, said, quote, "He's not even trying to get out of this," end quote. Insert side eye emoji here. I barely touched all the important developments of this story yet, so as always, I'll try to make the rest of this pretty fast. But it's so interesting, and there's never been a story like this before. It's just something shady went on. George and I have decided, George with his help, we know something shady went on.
Of course.
But as I tell you the rest of this story, which is not so long, but there's a little more left.
Don't clip your wings, babe. You're doing great.
We'll just tell you that we don't know what the shadiness is or who the shadiness involves, but we really hope it's not our boy James Krause. Which leads me to the next and maybe most important piece of information. James Krause, Derek Minner's coach, is a known gambler.
Super known gambler.
He is super known. As a matter of fact, he used to be on the Anik and Florian podcast discussing bets. Anik and Florian podcast is one of the other MMA podcasts I listen to religiously, and I listened to them today to see if they would mention it.
Did they?
They did not say one thing.
So that's where I want to say no one else in the industry even knows that was the case, and everyone's talking about James Krause this week, but hard-hitting reporter, your name, because I can't say your name on the show.
No, but me, he's pointing at me, everyone. You
have that context,
and you know that's John Anik being like, "You're not taking my motherfucking job. I don't even know you."
Yeah,
that was Kenny who wanted you on our
What do you think?
Podcast.
You think it's John Anik making that decision, or you think it's Hunter Campbell being like, "Hey, Johnny"?
I don't know.
Is Hunter Campbell my hero, by the way, lately?
I don't know, but don't ever and wink at me again. All right.
Keep it going, Toots.
Okay. James Krause is a known gambler. As a matter of fact, he has or had his own Discord channel where he gave his betting recommendations. This Discord channel had different subscription types to gain access to his picks.
Dude.
In a somewhat recent interview with Ariel, James Krause even admitted that he makes more money from betting than he ever did as a fighter or as he currently did or does as a coach. None of this was necessarily problematic or illegal, but of course, hindsight is making people view all of these things in a new light now that one of James Krause's fighters is involved in last-minute betting line changes, which for people like me who don't know anything about betting at all, means that not only did a lot of people bet on Minor's opponent to win, but they bet a lot of money, and that was the bigger problem than the movement from the negative 220 to negative 420, excuse me. So that led people to believe that information about Minor's injury was leaked somehow. From then on, so that's November 5th-ish, here's a timeline of the interesting events in this story and also some background information. So the fight was November 5th. November 11th is when rumblings of talk about the story were coming out, but Dana White said there's no evidence of wrongdoing. But then November 19th, one of James Krause's fighters said that his coach wasn't allowed in his corner. And then November 24th, Krause's Discord, where he gave betting advice, was deleted. He said that some of the subscribers would pay $2,000 for his betting advice.
That's insane. The tiered people and the introduction. Did you hear this?
No.
He said over 1,000 subscribers at $50 a month.
Right.
This motherfucker was making $50,000 a month. Just from Discord, that then he was betting and making more money.
So Discord definitely seems to play a factor in this story. December 1st is when the Ontario gaming operators, like the whole dang Canadian province, decided they're not taking any UFC bets anymore.
That's crazy.
Then on December 2nd, UFC finally released a statement because so far all we had gotten was on November 11th, Dana saying there's no evidence of wrongdoing. And the UFC statement came out late on a Friday night, hoping it would get overlooked and lost in the weekend bustle. Anyway, they said they are cooperating with government investigations into this situation. Derek Minor has been cut from the UFC, and any fighter who continues to work with Krause as their coach or train in his gym will not be permitted to partake in UFC events pending the outcome of the investigation regarding the betting on Minor's fight. So George was like, this is the big story, but don't forget, it's like pending the investigation. It's not like James Krause and his fighters and his gym is like forevermore banned, but that's a big fucking deal.
I mean, he might be, though. It might be a Pete Rose situation in baseball where your man is still not in the Hall of Fame after all these years.
Right.
Most hits in MLB history, I think.
Something like that. Last to note, no new news has really come out, but several more Canadian provinces have banned betting on UFC events, and
it's a whole freaking sport. They're just like, nah, we're not taking money on it.
Yeah, I really don't know where this is going to go, but we have to keep you, as we said, on the pulse of MMA news. And don't you worry. I will update you when we have actual factual information, which is why I waited to do this story until this week.
Babe, that's awesome. Thank you for that. You have kept me on the pulse on that, and that's awesome. And what did I want to say? Yeah, my guess. We talked about this off air. See how it was cool how I said off air?
Yeah, see how we talk off air? We don't just talk, but we have mics in our hands.
Yeah, believe it or not. we talked about it off here, that my guess is not that James Krause or Derek Minner. I think his name
is Minner. I know.
It?
I said Minor one time.
Whatever. Derek Minner. I don't think that they were being nefarious. I think that someone else at the gym was on the Discord channel who saw that he was hurt and then said something to someone else, and it was telephone.
Yeah. And as you said, if there's minimally 1,000 subscribers and only half of them decided to bet something and they knew it was coming from a reputable source, they all put bank on the fight.
Or even if just 2 bad actors out of the 1,000 were paying someone else off who's a janitor at the gym,
It'll be interesting. But let's move away from illegal activity to the holding hands and throwing fists classics rundown.
Hey! All right, here we are. It's the classics rundown. MMA fashion. Bruce Buffer came in hot for the Orlando UFC card. He was rocking the 2023 Pantone of color of the year, Viva Magenta.
It was incredible.
Tonight, I'm editing the podcast. I'm uploading it on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. I'm putting it on YouTube, and I'm putting a picture of Bruce Buffer in his 2023 Viva Magenta blazer on Instagram tonight.
All right. Hold him to it, people. Next up, we have an MMA boo-boo. So both fighters in last week's main event broke their hands.
Oof.
Kevin Holland's break happened in the first round, and from then on out, Stephen Wonderboy, Booty Boy Thompson totally schooled him. If you're really, really into MMA boo-boos, you should go to Chris Weidman's Instagram page. George showed me that Weidman did a live on his Instagram of Wonderboy backstage having the doctors look at his facial injuries, and the video continues with him getting 2 sets of stitches.
It was pretty gnarly, and just seeing fighters after a fight is always the thing that makes me realize that I can't watch fighting forever, because it's rough, man. And he was like in best case, he was like in the best spirits possible.
And the winner.
Yeah, exactly. Good guy alert.
Wee-oo.
Brendan Loughnane said Bubba Jenkins called him the day after the PFL fight, and they had a 15-minute chat. Bubba called him after he lost the championship to Brendan Loughnane, for which, if you remember, Holding Hands and Throwing Fists had our, what do you call it, school trip?
Field trip.
They are friends and both good guys, and how freaking cool is that?
I love that story. I love feel-good stories like that. So let's keep the feel-good going with the classics. We want both to win.
Hey!
Rafion Stotts and Danny Sabatello are fighting for the Bellator bantamweight title. Interim, actually. Both guys are just really funny, over-the-top personalities.
They really are.
They really are. They've both tried to make their fight something people look forward to, and I wish Bellator tried to hype this fight up more, because both guys could be, and I think will be, bigger stars. But there's only so much they can do without their promotion, Bellator, promoting them.
When are they even fighting? Is it Friday or
They're
Saturday?
fighting Friday night, so Slick will be watching that at your place. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, we got a ton of MMA beef, so I'm going to try to make it quick.
Oh, yeah.
Dustin and Connor. Dustin was in the hospital with a bad staph infection on his foot, and actually, if you Google Dustin foot, you might get something really weird, and you might get his foot blown up with staph infection. Oof. Connor tweeted in reply, "Heal up soon, scruffy knickers," whatever that means. To which Dustin tweeted back, "You done filming Royd House and ready to get slapped around again?" Which I thought was pretty good. Then Connor ruined by tweeting some stupid shit ending in, "I'm sending you off this earth." Connor's fucking corner, dude.
Why does he ruin it?
MMA beef, Patty the Baddie versus Ariel. Patty the Baddie talks shit with Dana White on Patty the Baddie's podcast about Ariel making money off the fighters. And then Ariel spent an hour talking shit about how Patty's manager was the first person in the history of the MMA Hour, that's 16 years, babe, to ask him to get paid for an interview.
Yo,
buried him alive. So we haven't talked about this off air yet. Did you listen to it? Was it bad?
I listened to like 45 minutes of Ariel's.
It was a little long.
It was long, but I am not so sure I can support Patty the Baddie anymore. I'm gonna say it.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. Well, we gotta find out. We gotta find out. Ally Aquinta and Kevin Lee, babe. Remember they fought twice?
Yes.
So I didn't tell you about this. I saw this on Twitter.
I'm excited to know this story.
Kevin Lee posted a picture of him on a horse. Weirdly enough, he's a weird guy to be just chilling on a horse, with the caption that said, "Samurai with no master. I'm coming back to fighting." Al replied, "You can't even afford a car." Kevin replied, "You live in a 400 square foot apartment by yourself." Al replied pics of his beautiful waterfront house and said, "I am your master," a little inappropriate, "and this is the view from my villa." Eek. Then he posted a picture of his billiards room. Said, "How you like this?" Kevin wrote, "That shit looked like it was decorated in the 1900s. And then the best of all is Derek Brunson inserted himself into the conversation on Twitter and wrote, "Y'all funny. This is getting good."
See, this is what I want, like the Connor Dustin thing to keep going to. Like, you can diss someone without saying some stupid shit. That's incredible. Thank you, Al and Kevin Lee.
Okay, last and not least, in MMA beef. It's holding hands and throwing fists versus another no-name couples podcast.
What?
In a niche sport in MMA.
What?
Babe.
Who are they?
We're calling them out. I don't want to say their name because there's a few of them, actually, I think.
What?
But this is the one. This is the one. And I saw it. And I said, I'm going to listen to this right now. I'm going to listen. And I didn't listen. I just skipped around. I skipped around. I did not do my due diligence.
I am shocked right now.
But let me tell you what I saw and what I heard. The audio sucked. I saw... Oh, I gotta hear you in the monitor. Laugh again, will you?
Yeah, my ear?
Yeah, I gotcha. I saw their posting schedule. It's inconsistent. Then I also heard them just rambling. No notes. You think you could just come in here unprepared?
No.
You know, the couples podcast space for MMA and jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai. I'm not saying it's jiu-jitsu, but it was probably jiu-jitsu. And then bragging about who they know.
Oh my gosh.
I know who they're talking about, and they're fucking nobodies, okay? No humor. I didn't hear any laughter. In the 3 seconds I skipped around. And let me tell you something else. It was boring. And let me tell you, I had thoughts. I was like, what? Why are we even really doing this? And I was like, what do I have to say in the podcast space, right? What do I have to say? Because I felt, when I had COVID and stuff, and I still battled through, and we still did this show. I was like, what do I have to say? Do I have anything to say? And I'm like, yeah, I got everything I got to motherfucking say out my fucking voice, and I got to say this. We're inconsistent. I was thinking about stopping, but we can't stop thinking about these inconsistent scrubs out there. That's what I wanted to say.
Wow.
We're still fucking here.
All right. Let's go. Since we have this energy, I think it's perfect for our last bullet point. It's we like you on this week's UFC card.
Let's go.
Joaquin Buckley,
we like you.
Chris Curtis,
we like you.
Chris Dawkins,
we like you.
Billy Quarantillo, we like you. Jared Gordon,
we like you.
And Jan Blachowicz, we like you.
We like you, dude, a lot.
Rooting for all of you. Tricky with the Chris versus Chris fight because they're fighting each other. But it's all good.
Babe, I love you. Let's keep this shit going.
Fuck them. You're telling me off air who the fuck it is.
This episode was brought to you by holdinghandsandthrowingfists.com. Use promo code BOOBOO. Fuck you, Bud Light Seltzer.